by Earl Campbell, and of course, the man in the hat in the middle of that huddle, A.O. Bum Phillips. Today, Mike Hefner, we've got a situation where Houston has got to win.
There's no doubt about it. When you're in the division with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've got to win on every Sunday, whether you're playing the Steelers or not. And this is going to be a very tough game because the Kansas City Chiefs, the very young club, came alive last week, really whomped on a good Oakland Raider team. And so the owners better come into this one feeling like they're going to be in for a battle.
Well, we have the Kansas City Chiefs in white, and they're wearing white jerseys at home this year. They will be kicking off. The Houston Oilers are going to send back Carl Roaches, 85, Jeff Groth, 81, and Nick Lowry will do the kicking for the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, we've got a double Kansas City-Houston story going on, Mike. The Kansas City Royals, who are next door here to Big Arrowhead Stadium, have won the American League pennant and will either play Philadelphia or the Houston Astros in the World Series. And of course, the World Series will come to you on NBC.
Oh, it's going to be a great one. I love to watch George Brett swing the bat. Oh, he's something. New York fans won't like to hear that. But...
All right, Nick Lowry, who succeeded a legend here, Jan Stenerud, is kicking off. Almost 75,000 people are here today. Back into the end zone with Carl Roaches out of Texas A&M. Let's watch his return. He is nailed inside the 15 by number 83, Mike Williams. Mike Williams from the University of New Mexico. All right, in the Houston backfield, Ken Stabler, Tim Wilson. He'll do the blocking for Earl Campbell. Campbell, you know about. Wide receivers, Billy Whiteshoes. Mike Barber, who's become a favorite target this year, and of course, Mike Renfro. And the up front line, Leon Gray, called by some of the best offensive tackle in pro football today. Carl Mock, the veteran center, anchors that line, and here we go. Houston's ball, first down, led by Ken Stabler. Wide receiver split, first down on the 13-yard line. In motion, Renfro. Earl Campbell and that Kansas City defense, which really won the game in Oakland, led by Don Parrish, the nose tackle, 61, stopping the play. Art Still, All-Pro, Don Parrish, Dave Lindstrom up front of the three-man front for Kansas City. And those very active linebackers, Gary Spaney scored a touchdown last week. Whitney Paul moved from line to the linebacker core. And Gary Barbaro, the free safety, will lead the deep backs this afternoon. Second down, 10, no gain on the last play. Campbell again. Campbell 20, Campbell to the 24, and I believe he has a first down. Tim Wilson, 45, leading the blocking, 41. Herb Christopher tripped him up, and that's about all he could do as Ken Stabler sends Earl Campbell for the first down.
And Merle, we talked earlier about the fact that you must run inside against the 3-4 to be effective. And Earl Campbell, with his power and speed, just showed you why you run inside with a big back like that.
And Mike, going into the game today, he needed but 135 yards to establish an all-time Houston rushing record. Here's Stabler, first down. Campbell to the 29. Gary Spaney, 59. A third-year man from Kansas State at 6'2", 230. And nose tackle Don Parrish, number 61, stopped Campbell. And indeed, Mike, as you alluded to his return to the lineup at full force, he certainly looks like he's there.
He only carried 12 times last week for 50 yards, and already he's carried the ball 3 times, so you know that he's going to be a factor today.
And remember, he's running against a Kansas City defense on a second down and 6, a Kansas City defense that just stopped Oakland cold last week, swarmed the Oakland offense. Campbell, a necktie job. Gary Spaney, 59 in the gap with Don Parrish, 61 on the tackle on Earl Campbell, who always gets up slowly, but that one he felt. A gain of about a foot.
Earl, one of the important things in the 3-4 is to block that nose tackle, and you saw Carl Mock look up and say, hey, where did he go? And Parrish got in there, took care of him, and gave Spaney the chance to necktie Earl.
Ron Carpenter, 26, Ronnie Coleman, 47 are now the running backs, and 5 defensive backs are on the field for Kansas City on third down 5. Good rush. Stabler in the pocket, throws it complete at the 40, up to the 46. Mike Barber, the tight end, and Mike Barber, well, Kenny Stabler, they say, can make him an all-pro this year. 17 yards picked up on the play and a first down on the 45-yard line of Houston.
He made a couple of all-pros at tight end when he was at Oakland. specifically David Casper. And here Mike Barber has been born again with Kenny Stabler now at quarterback for the Oilers. And there you see the perfect pass that beats the linebacker. And that's what Kenny Stabler does so well, that pinpoint pass.
That's what Mike Barber has done this year. Billy Johnson splitting to the right, Mike Renfro to the left, Campbell and Wilson are now the running backs, and that's Renfro in motion. Stabler on the draw to Campbell. Campbell eating up big yards up the middle into Kansas City territory to the 47. Manu Maliuna, number 54. Big Frank making the stop with help from Herb Christopher, the strong safety, number 41, and it's a gain of 8 yards.
We talked about Carl Mock being the important man in the running play. Here's the draw, and Mock has got to block Parrish. This time he doesn't get fooled, ties him up, and that leaves Earl Campbell that hole to pick on the inside against the 3-4, and he gained big yardage.
Second down 2. Ken Stabler, most accurate thrower in the history of the NFL at 60%. Second down call. Campbell again, first down. Campbell up the middle, down to the 40, down to the 38. Manu Maliuna, number 54, and Art Still, 67, making the stop on Earl Campbell. And Mike, it looks as though Campbell is very intent on setting that new Oiler rushing record this year, and he would please no one more than this man right here, Bum Phillips.
No doubt about that. You need the big guy in the backfield. If Kenny Stabler is to be effective, he has to mix the run with the pass. And without Earl, as he had last week, he had to throw 50 times, and he got intercepted 5 times.
32 yards on the ground already for Earl Campbell. Stabler, first and 10, 39 of Kansas City. The first man finally gets the call, and that's Tim Wilson, the fullback, number 45. He's usually the blocker. Art Still, 67, stops him after he picks up short yardage inside the 35 and the 34. He got 4. It'll be second down and 6. Tim Wilson, in fact, he could be the subject of a trivia question. Art Still, 67, no trivia there. This guy was a second draft selection behind Campbell when he came out of Kentucky 3 years ago.
You know, Kenny Stabler did an interesting thing there. He gave Wilson the ball to pat him on the back for the nice blocks he's been making for Earl in this drive.
Not a bad thing to do for a blocker. Let him know you appreciate it. Second down. Campbell, Wilson in front of him, plays the block. Look at him shoot through that little gap. Down to the 26-yard line. Mike Barber, 86, the tight end, also blocking for him. And Whitney Paul, 53, the right outside linebacker, came up with a tackle, and it's another first down.
See what Kenny Stabler did? He's no dummy. There's the good block by Barber inside to shield off so they can run the sweep. And then you'll see Wilson out in front. There he is. He gave him the ball. Now this time Wilson's got a block for the big guy, Campbell. And it just makes it that much easier if he's carried it once for Kenny.
Big Mike Barber, 5-year veteran, Louisiana Tech, 6'3" and 235 pounds. First down, Houston. Campbell inside the 25, bouncing near the 23, and Gary Spaney, 59, the right inside linebacker out of Kansas State, makes the stop. Campbell, chewing up the yardage, is up near the 50 mark already in 8 carries. Gary Spaney, an outstanding game. There he is, calling the defensive signals. An outstanding game last week against Oakland. He had a 16-yard touchdown. He led the team in tackles the last 2 years, and here's what Campbell has done last week. Carpenter is in for Wilson in the backfield. Second down, 7. It's Renfro in motion. Campbell again through the middle. Down to the 21. Whitney Paul, 53, the linebacker, making the stop, and Carl Mock, the veteran center, in his 13th year out of SIU, number 55, again opening the hole right up the middle for Campbell, and it'll be third down at about 4.5.
Passing down right now, Merle, and look for him to throw to his running backs. Stabler really likes to hit his backs out of the backfield when he gets him one-on-one with the linebacker. Earl's run every one of his running plays inside. So watch now. He may run that outside sweep just to keep him honest.
Marv Levy, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, who's in a rebuilding program here. He said yesterday he's impatient, but they're on schedule. Stabler, reverse, and Billy Whiteshoes trying to get to the outside is going to be trapped and does not get the first down. Herb Christopher, 41, forced him out of bounds, and the Houston Oilers will have to settle for the kicking team. There's no score here in the first quarter. This is Merle Harmon with Mike Hafner at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, welcoming those of you who have been following the Pittsburgh Steelers-Cincinnati Bengal game this afternoon. Final score on that one, of course, Cincinnati 17 and Pittsburgh 16. A very large upset in that one, Mike Hafner. And here in Kansas City, the Oilers have a 4th down coming up, 8 yards to go. The field goal unit is on. Tony Fritsch will kick one from the 31, making it a 41-yard effort. And this wobbly kick is good. A 41-yard field goal by Tony Fritsch puts the Houston Oilers on the scoreboard, and it is 3-0 with 7 minutes and 26 seconds to go in the first period.
Tony Fritsch can walk right over to Earl Campbell and say, thank you very much, sir, for putting me in position for that field goal. Earl's got over 40 yards already, and as we mentioned at the top of the show, Earl only had 50 yards all last week on 12 carries, so he's become a factor early already today.
And in this drive, which Houston engineered, taking the opening kickoff, Campbell carried for almost 50 yards in the drive. There are plenty of Houston fans here today. The Love Ya Blue is spreading all over the country. So now, Tony Fritsch will be kicking off to the Kansas City Chiefs with 7 minutes, 26 seconds left to go in the first quarter. The Chiefs won their first game of the year last week at Oakland, defeating the Raiders 31-17. Houston lost to Pittsburgh 31-17 in the opener, then beat Cleveland, Baltimore, and Cincinnati. Then last week upset by the Seattle Seahawks 26-7. Carlos Carlson is back deep. Carson in the end zone will run it out. The 10, 15, up the sideline, forced out of bounds, somewhere around the 23 by Darrell Hunt, a linebacker on the specialty teams. Kansas City will get the ball for the first time this afternoon, and Steve Fuller will be at quarterback, and look for Ted McKnight this afternoon. All right, the wide receivers. Henry Marshall, a favorite, University of Missouri. J.T. Smith has been very effective, though. The offensive line toughening up, led by Jack Rudnay, number 58, who is back after being on the injured list. He played last week against Oakland and was given much credit for inspiring this Kansas City offense to that 31-17 win. Mike Fuller out at Clemson at quarterback. McKnight 22, Reed 32 of the running backs in the eye. Tailback Tony Reed out of Colorado up to the 25-yard line. Tony in his 4th year. Art Stringer 56, the linebacker, making the stop. Andy Doris, Ken Kennard is now the nose tackle for the Houston Oilers. Jesse Baker, big play man, rookie of the year last year, will anchor the right side. The linebackers, Robert Brazil, keep an eye on him, number 52, plays the right outside. And in the secondary, Vernon Perry, 32, strong safety, a big play man. Second down, 7. Draw to McKnight. McKnight hits the left side, getting a block by Herkenhoff. And Baker, 75, brings him down for the Houston Oilers after he got a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
There's no doubt the Kansas City Chiefs can run the football. We've seen them do that for the last couple of years. They've junked the wing tee, but they still run it the same way. But, Merle, for them to be effective against Houston, they're going to have to throw the football. They're going to have to throw it downfield to their wide receivers, and they're going to have to throw to the running backs.
Mike Senserud has come out of the lineup, and Houston has employed 5 defensive backs now. 3rd down for Kansas City. Fuller going upstairs, incomplete, intended for Henry Marshall, number 89. And the coverage by Robert Brazil, 52. Merle Herman and Mike Hafner in Kansas City now welcoming the fans who've been watching the Baltimore Colts and the Buffalo Bills ball game. And the Colts have knocked the Bills from the undefeated ranks, winning that game 17-12. And Cincinnati beat Pittsburgh 17-16 this afternoon. So we've got a couple of upsets already as Bob Grupp comes in to do the punting on a 4th down for the Kansas City Chiefs. A 41-yard field goal by Fritsch put the Oilers into the lead about 45 seconds ago. So Kansas City in its first possession has to punt it away, and a beauty by Grupp. Driving Carl Roaches backpedaling to the 15, but he can really move it. No place to go for Roaches, and the special teams knock him down on the 21-yard line. A 57-yard punt and a 5-yard return. So the Houston Oilers take over, and we've got a timeout with Houston leading 3-0. Out for the first time in 10 years today by the New England Patriots. So the Patriots had it all working this afternoon. Both Grogan and Cavanaugh having good days, Mike.
I'll tell you, when the New England quarterbacks are on with that crew of wide receivers, they're going to whomp anybody anytime. I'm surprised, though, that Miami didn't get on the board.
All right, the Houston Oilers, led by Carl Mock, the center, up over the ball, and Ken Stabler starting this charge from the 21-yard line. Earl Campbell, a workhorse in the first series, tripped up by Sylvester Hicks, number 75, who was just activated yesterday, and Gary Spaney, number 59, the right linebacker. So a loss on the play this time. It is 2nd down and 12.
We got a heck of a battle going between, oh, look at the arrowhead. Isn't that something, Don Parrish? Which way to the Super Bowl? And there it is, right there.
The loss makes it 2nd down and 12. Earl Campbell is already near the, well, he lost 2 yards there. He is now 44 net yards in 10 carries. He needs 135, or did, going into this ball game, to establish an all-time Houston rushing record. Here's Campbell again. And once more, Carl Mock, the center. And Bob Young open up the hole, and Gary Spaney brings him down at the 27, almost the 28-yard line. So Campbell picks up almost 7 on that one. 4 for Houston. Rob Carpenter 26, Ronnie Coleman 47, and now the running backs. Dombrowski has come in, 5 defensive backs. He is one of them in the Kansas City secondary. And that's Carpenter in motion. Stabler looks, throws for Barber, the tight end, on a slant end, and Carpenter was in the pattern. It was Gary Barbaro, 26, who was in there to break it up. So it was really Carpenter who was the short man, and it's 4th down coming up for Houston, and a punting situation with Cliff Parsley coming on.
Merle, when you see that formation where Carpenter is the lone back, they call that the ace formation, and Stabler will throw to Carpenter almost every time out of that, so the fans can watch for that this afternoon.
Parsley, who comes from nearby Grandview, Missouri, will kick it away to Carlos Carson, a rookie from LSU. J.T. Smith also does some run backs, and the kick is away by Parsley. At the 35, it's J.T. Smith. Down the middle, down to the 40 of Houston. So, great field position, a 38-yard kick and a 25-yard return, and Kansas City, behind 3-0, has the football. City, welcome home. You've been in China on a special assignment.
Yes, we did some track and field over there, but it's nice to be back in the States. I love it here.
I know it is. Marv Levy, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, has, as we mentioned earlier, been in a rebuilding program here. He feels that his offense still has a ways to go, but the defense has been good. And Wayne Rudy is bringing one of the Warriors off the field right now. That's J.T. Smith, who made that fine return as Ted McKnight gets the call from Steve Fuller on the swing left. He is down to the 35 and brought down by Art Stringer, 56, the left inside linebacker of the Houston Oilers, who's had an injury-ridden career. But this man, Mike Fuller, or rather Steve Fuller, has been given the job here in Kansas City. Was a year ago and responded beautifully. He quarterbacked Clemson when the Clemson Tigers beat Ohio State in the Gator Bowl a few years ago.
Yes, that one well remembered.
Woody Hayes last game. Gain of 5, 2nd and 5. Marshall is split to the left. J.T. Smith coming in motion. And it's incomplete, intended for Henry Marshall, number 89. Wearing Otis Taylor's old number. Does that ring a bell? Greg Stemrick, 27, had the coverage for the Houston Oilers. Tony Fritz kicked a 21-yard field goal with 7:26 to go in this period for the game's only score, and we're down to 3:32 to go in the first quarter at Arrowhead in Kansas City.
Merle, you just saw the Kansas City Chiefs' problems on offense. They've got to complete passes to go with that running game that they've established. And Steve Fuller had a wide open receiver and didn't hit him. You've got to hit those.
Fuller 0 for 2. 3rd down, and it's incomplete. Trying to hit Reed coming out of the backfield right over the middle, and Robert Brazil, 52, the very active linebacker, had the coverage. So now Kansas City is faced with a 4th down situation. The ball on the 35-yard line of the Houston Oilers, and the Oilers leading by a score of 3-0 on a 41-yard field goal by Tony Fritz.
Don't count out Lowry. He can kick him from anywhere. He's got a big, big leg. In that first game, he kicked 3 of them, Merle, that were over 50 yards.
He's got the longest kick of the year in the NFL, 57 yards. This would be 53 yards if he makes it, with Steve Fuller holding. Lowry cuts it loose. It is not good. So Lowry on a miss, and the ball goes over to the Houston Oilers. So with 3:24 to go in the first quarter, Houston holds a 3-0 lead. We'll return from Kansas City. And host Brian Gumble as they bring you the latest news, scores, and highlights. Then exciting regional action as the Buffalo Bills take on the Miami Dolphins or the Seattle Seahawks battle the New York Jets. Then following football, it's the 1980 World Series, back where it belongs. If necessary, you'll see Game 5 as the Kansas City Royals will take on either Houston or Philadelphia. Bum Phillips and Marv Levy here in Kansas City, and we might have an all-inclusive Kansas City-Houston story here today and next week if the Astros can win this afternoon. Ken Stabler and company on the 35. It's Earl Campbell. Look at Campbell go. Second effort out to the 37. Gary Spaney, 59, makes the tackle for Kansas City. Gary Barbaro coming up to assist if needed. 2nd and 8.
Here's a 53-yarder by Lowry. I said he had the leg for it. He just missed it a tad. It's almost there, Merle. That's about 1.5 yards short.
So Houston now with a 2nd down and 7 coming up. Nick Lowry, sort of an unknown when he replaced Jan Stenerud here, but quickly has caught on with the Kansas City fans. Stabler going upstairs, and that's Barber at the 40, Barber at the 45. And Gary Green, number 24, the left cornerback, a 4-year veteran from Baylor, makes the stop on Mike Barber.
Here's a great look at what Kenny Stabler sees when he reads defenses. And this old veteran, he didn't make very many mistakes. A great surgeon. Look at him look over the field. He finds that the defense has rolled the other way in zone. So he finds Barber out in the flat. Michael gives it a little extra effort. Makes first down.
Barber now 2 catches, 26 yards with that reception and a first down at the 47. Stabler to Campbell. He sees enough daylight to go to the 48-yard line of Kansas City, and Art Still, 67. And Frank Monomaliuna, 54, stopped the play. And Ed Fisher, a former Kansas City Chief, number 60, the right guard of Houston, opened up the hole there for Earl Campbell for a gain of 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
I talked to Bum Phillips just before the game, and he said Earl Campbell was ready for a full day's work, and it looks like it's starting off.
He missed 7.5 quarters because of an injury, but he certainly looks strong this afternoon. He played last week in that losing cause against Seattle. Bad game for Houston. Bum says we were terrible. Stabler with time. Barber right there, but he can't hold on to the ball. Takes a pretty good shot from Gary Green, number 24, and Eric Harris, 44, was over there in that area also, and Barbaro, 26, coming up to the free safety spot. It'll be 3rd down, 5.
If you are a receiver in the National Football League, you must be prepared to get nailed. And I'll tell you, you're going to get a shot from Gary Green on Barber, the tight end. Barber almost made a one-handed catch. And then look at Green stuff that forearm right under his chin. No way to hold on then. You got to be ready for those shots.
3rd down, 5 for Houston. Rob Carpenter, 26, comes into the backfield, which means that he might be a target. Along with Ronnie Coleman, 47. Stabler likes to throw to the backs on 3rd down. Flag down. Stabler. And it is Ronnie Coleman out of the backfield, down to the 35-yard line. Paul Dombrowski, 46, was there on the tackle. Gain of 13 yards if it holds.
Well, I think the Kansas City Chiefs front three were trying to get an edge on the pass rush. They knew that Stabler was going to throw. I think they jumped a little bit, unless they were drawn offside.
Referee Bob McElwee consulting with his staff, and here they are. Al Conway, the umpire from nearby Liberty, Missouri. All right. Penalty declined. Houston will... In fact, we had offsetting penalties, I believe. A little trouble with our communication system with Bob McElwee. And so we still have a 3rd down situation. And Rob Carpenter, 26, who had gone to the bench, is right back. Marv Levy, who has a master's degree from Harvard, graduated with honors, Phi Beta Kappa, brilliant football coach and tactician, started at Coe College in Iowa. 3rd down and 5, will run the play over. Mike Renfro, 82, splits to the right. 84, Billy Johnson splits to the left. But watch the running backs as they double slot. Stabler with some time. There's Rich Castor, his other tight end, all the way down to the 37-yard line. Thomas Howard, 52, had the coverage on the play. It's a gain of 11 and a first down as Rich Castor, the former Jet, takes it for a first down.
Here's the backup tight end, and what a great player to have as a backup. It's a crossing pattern against the zone, Merle, and you cannot give Kenny Stabler 5 seconds to throw the ball. He's going to find somebody open, and Castro was wide open. He threw it a little behind him. Might have given Rich a chance to run for even more, but the surgeon will kill you if you give him 5.
A minute, 15 seconds to go in the first quarter. Houston on a 41-yard field goal by Tony Fritsch, leading Kansas City 3-0. First down, Houston. Stabler going long this time, and it's Mike Renfro, incomplete. Eric Harris deflecting the ball, and Barbaro picking it off. It is, let's see if the completion holds. Whitney Paul had the rush, putting the pressure on with 55 seconds to go, and it is Barbaro and Kansas City's ball. Timeout. Kansas City behind by 3. Stabler cannot throw long, Mike.
Well, he threw it long, but the problem was that Kansas City was in perfect coverage. He tries to go deep to White Shoes. There the ball is tipped up in the air by Eric Harris, and now you know why they call him a free safety. He's free, so he can go to the ball. Barbaro's standing right there, pops right into his chest. The old tip drill.
And he just barely got that foot inside, or kept it inside. Bum Phillips and his staff on the sideline. Bum's no doubt thinking about, hey, we got to put our act together. We can't afford to lose any more ball games, not in the division we're in. Fuller 0 for 3 as a passer, splits his running backs. First down, Kansas City, and it is Tony Reed. Reed cuts it back to the 22, and down he goes. Ted Washington, 59, the linebacker from Mississippi Valley, putting the stop on Tony Reed.
Both sharp coaches, Merle, they know they can't get outside against those 3-4 sets because those linebackers are as fast as I used to be as a wide receiver. They all run 4.6 or better, and if you're going to run outside, you're going to have 4 linebackers standing on your toes.
Those linebackers are a little bigger today than they were when you were playing 2.
That's true.
Second down 8. Kansas City trailing 3-0. 18 seconds to go in the first quarter. Tony Reed again. Getting a block up across the 30. A first down near the 33. So Tony Reed got a little better than 10 yards. Bob Simmons, 73, opening the hole for him. Mike Reinfeldt, 37, the weak safety, on the stop for Houston.
Greg Bingham, the inside linebacker, they try to channel all the running towards the inside linebackers. Look at Al Dixon, the tight end. He's not giving up on Bingham. And the reason that Tony got all the yardage was because of the great block.
And we have reached the end of the first quarter here in Kansas City and Houston on a Fritsch field goal of 41, leading by 3-0, and we'll return. Merle Herman and Mike Hafner with you, and it's, for all practical purposes, a sellout. The crowd way up into the high 70s, and we thank you so much for the hospitality here at Arrowhead. And just a few hundred yards away next weekend, NBC's cameras will be over in Royals Stadium to bring you the Royals part of the World Series. The opponent still to be determined. Kansas City's ball now going west from the 33, and Fuller on a bootleg is going to be nailed just about at the line of scrimmage by Robert Brazil, 52, the 6-year veteran linebacker from Jackson State, who has tremendous pursuit.
He has great speed, and there was that bootleg play, and he didn't give up, caught the quarterback from behind. And I remember the good old days when quarterbacks could outrun linebackers with their eyes closed, 1 foot tied behind them, but not anymore. They have the great speed. Fuller trying to set up the pass or run option, and Brazil stops that option very quickly.
And now 5 defensive backs for Houston on the field to go against Steve Fuller. It is second down 10. Fuller's going to run it. Diving to the 40 and getting about 7 yards as he is covered by Vernon Perry, number 32. A second-year man from Jackson State who played collegiate football with some pretty good company. Robert Brazil, his teammate and linebacker, and a guy named Walter Payton.
There's a couple of good guys. You made a good point, Merle, on second down and long. O.A. Bum Phillips says, let's go to the nickel defense right now. He's going to play pass every time they come up second and long.
In the first quarter, Kansas City rushed for 20 yards, had no passing yardage. Houston, 59 yards by the ground, 37 in the air. Fuller going to the air to the far side. It is caught by Number 86, J.T. Smith, and Smith goes out of bounds, knocked out by Vernon Perry, a gain of 9 yards. J.T. Smith broke his nose on a kickoff return, but he is right back in there wearing a face mask.
Never stops a wide receiver, didn't hurt his hands any, and he certainly needed the hands on here. Look at the great catch. Goes up, great concentration. That's what a wide receiver needs, those great set of paws. You got to catch it first.
And he got just a little more than 9. In fact, enough for a first down near the midfield stripe. Jack Rudney, the veteran center, up over the ball. Simmons and Condon, the guards, Herkenoff and Getty are the tackles. They go to the run, and Tony Reed on the sweep cuts it in down to the 46, and Jesse Baker, 75, stops the play. They'll mark it officially on the 45-yard line of the Houston Oilers. Jesse Baker, the Rookie of the Year in 1979. They call him the designated sacker because he has a few now and then.
That's an awful tough blue defense down there. Here they've got second down and a bit shorter now, and they didn't go to the 5 backs, the 5 defensive backs, Houston. They're looking for the run out of Kansas City.
After a gain of 6, it'll be 2nd and 4. Fuller, McKnight, no place to go. Robert Brazil, 52, the veteran linebacker, just stayed right at home and tripped him up, and that play did not develop well, and the loss will be about 3 yards, making it 3rd down and a long 6.
Both Houston and Kansas City have tried that fake reverse type or reverse situation, a gadget play we used to call them, and neither one of them worked because they're going outside against that great pursuit.
And Ted Knight injured on the play, being attended by the Kansas City medical staff. The Houston Oilers on a field goal by Tony Fritsch back in the first period of 41 yards lead Kansas City by a score of 3-0. This crowd this afternoon numbering well up toward capacity at 78,000 in Arrowhead. It's been a while since the Chiefs have had this kind of crowd. Now we'll have a timeout as McKnight is helped off the field. Houston ahead by 3-0 and will return. Now in the backfield on a 3rd down call for Steve Fuller. And he is swarmed under by that Houston defense led by Jesse Baker, number 75, by Hollywood Henderson, number 53, who's into the ball game now for Houston defensively. And the loss brings up a 4th down and very long. It'll be 4th down and 12, and Bob Grupp will be coming in to do the punting.
Another look at it, and Hollywood Henderson has apparently taken over that nickel defense linebacker spot. This is his last chance, I've got a feeling, Merle.
It is 4th down and 12, and Grupp comes on, and we'll talk about Hollywood Henderson a little bit later on. He has some stiff competition as Carl Roaches is back to take the punt from Bob Grupp, who boomed a 57-yarder earlier, and he hangs this one high, and Roaches calls for the fair catch, fielding the ball near the 17-yard line, and that's where the Oilers will take over as they lead by 3-0 here in the 2nd quarter with 11 minutes and 50 seconds to go to halftime. Nothing over Kansas City in the 2nd quarter. The Chiefs have lost cornerback M.L. Carter, who's out with a hamstring, and Paul Dombrowski, 46, a free safety, playing with a broken nose and a mask this afternoon. And now J.T. Smith, the wide receiver of Kansas City, a broken nose and a mask. But Ken Stabler is solid, and so is Earl Campbell, bouncing off a blocker and going nowhere as Manu Maliuna, 54, the linebacker, was right there to meet him.
I like the way you handle that Hawaiian name. You got it down, huh? You know, interesting point, Merle. In each of the initial drives, Earl Campbell has been slammed on the 1st down running play. But yet he's over the 50-yard mark already, and I think it takes him one play to get cranked up and the adrenaline flowing, and then he just runs wild.
That 1 yard now gives him a net of 60. And so it is 2nd down and 9, slot right for Houston. Campbell behind Wilson. Tim leading the block, and Campbell playing the block for 3 or 4, and Herb Christopher, 41, the strong safety, and Gary Spaney, 59, the right inside linebacker, up there to make the stop for Kansas City. So Campbell keeps chugging away. Earl now over the 60 mark. If he hits 135 yards today, he will establish an all-time Houston rushing record, formerly held, or now held, by one Hoyle Granger.
Granger was a great fullback in his day.
And he was, well, he wasn't that big, but he was tough, wasn't he?
Also had a quarterback named George Blanda who gave him the ball quite often.
Carpenter, 26. Coleman, 47 are now in. Passing down. 2 men out of the backfield that Stabler likes to throw to. 3rd down, 5. That's Ronnie Coleman. And Coleman Up across the 35 to the 37. Paul Dombrowski, 46, gets him out of bounds, but it's another first down, Houston. Anytime that Carpenter and Colvin in the backfield, you can almost bet that Kenny Stabler is going to go one to one or the other unless he picks on Mike Barber, his tight end. A 14-yard pickup and a first down.
It's a good observation, Merle. In that third down situation, passing down, he's going to run one back to one side, one back to the other, and the tight end up the middle. Then he'll read the coverage and pick out the open man, and he's excellent at that.
Earl Campbell back in now. First and 10 Oilers. They lead 3-0. It is Campbell. Campbell hits the left side to the 43, where Herb Christopher, 41, the strong safety from Morris Brown College, makes the stop. Campbell gets up so slowly. When Campbell first joined the Oilers, after each tackle, the Oiler fans in Houston particularly were saying, oh no, he's hurt. Earl's okay. Gain of 5, second and 5.
Conserve your energy. It doesn't help you to bounce up and run back to the huddle. You can't gain any yards that way.
Campbell now at 70 yards for 16 carries. Second down, 5, Houston. Stabler to Campbell. Breaks a tackle behind the line. And Gary Spaney, 59. Dino Mangiero, number 74, the nose tackle of Kansas City. Finally stop him. He got about a yard. It'll be third down and 4. Dino Mangiero, rookie from Rutgers, number 74, has played well. David Carter has come in, and Bob Young has gone out at left guard now for Houston. Carter, they call him Mock Jr. They're inseparable. Now they're playing side by side. Third down. Campbell still in the backfield. In motion, Wilson. And that is Wilson coming out of the backfield, fighting his way for a first down. Whitney Paul, number 53, the outside linebacker, trying to wrestle him down before he could hit the mark for a first down. And let's see where they mark it.
Ooh, that's going to be close, Merle. Very close. And the chains are on that side, so they'll know right away whether it's first down or not. And it's not.
By that much. So it's fourth down, Houston. The Oilers lead 3-0 on a 41-yard field goal in the first period by Tony Fritsch.
Interesting call here by Bum. I don't see any punt team rolling out on the field. But when you got an Earl Campbell and you only need about 4 inches, you got to go for it. What the heck?
Bob Young, 63, is back in. David Carter goes out at left guard. This is what Stabler has done today. 55 yards in the air, 1 interception. Barber and Castor are in that huddle now as the double tight end offense comes on. Stabler now with 13 interceptions for the year. Pittsburgh got him for 5 in 1 game, and Seattle got him for 5 last week.
The other 3 games they won, he only threw 2 interceptions. So we'll watch that stat real close to that.
8 minutes, 14 seconds to go in the first half, with Houston on top by a score of 3-0. Fourth down, less than a yard. Here it is.
You give it to Campbell or Wilson? I'd give it to Wilson as a surprise.
Campbell, first down, 49-yard line behind Wilson. Mangiero, 74, the nose tackle. Kramer, 91, the defensive end on the play. You know, someday Tim Wilson, because he does so much blocking, he's going to grab that ball away from the quarterback, and it's not going to be supposed to be handed off to him. He said, give me that ball, let me have a shot at it.
Well, I'll tell you, Wilson and Carpenter and all the backs for Houston love it that Earl Campbell's in that backfield. Look at the lead blocks here. Both Wilson and Carpenter are the ones that push back the Kansas City line and give Earl a chance to do his balding act.
First down, Houston. 3-0 Oilers. Second quarter. Campbell, no hole, tries to get his own. Look at that Kansas City defense swarm on him. Led by Thomas Henderson, 52, the outside linebacker. And how about this one? In overtime, Tampa Bay and Green Bay locked up at 14. Tie game at 14.
They played all the whole overtime and didn't score.
I guess that is a final now. It is a final. They did not score in the overtime.
Those 2 teams might not be able to score in a month.
Bum Phillips and Marv Levy, both concerned about their teams. Marv concerned about getting a better offense attack going. Bum just trying to get this team fired up and underway as Barber, the tight end, goes up to pull down the pass from Kenny Stabler, and then Herb Christopher, 41, the strong safety of Kansas City, yanks him down. So 6:40 to go in the first half, and Houston leading 3-0.
You talked earlier about what Kenny Stabler can do for a tight end, and he looks for his tight end first, his outside receivers second. And if Barber's open, he's going to him no matter what the wide receivers are doing. Mike Barber's become a very effective tight end with Kenny at quarterback.
And Barber has picked up 8 yards on that play to run Stabler's total to 65 yards in the air. 3rd down 2 coming for the Snake. 3rd and 2 for Houston. Wilson in motion. Campbell, the workhorse. And Earl is down inside the 40 for a first down, getting 5 down to the 38. Mangiero, 74, the nose tackle, having to take Campbell on. Campbell is 5'11", 224 pounds. Mangiero is 6'2" and 265.
Earl doesn't give away very much.
First down, Houston. Kansas City, 2 first downs. Houston 9, 76 yards for Campbell as he closes in on the all-time Houston rushing record held by Hoyle Granger. Talking about a career record now. The fake pitch and the give to Wilson, and he is inside the 35 to the 34. Manu Maliuna, 54, making the tackle. All right, as we look at scores, Baltimore a winner over Buffalo. Buffalo knocked from the undefeated ranks this afternoon. Miami shut out by New England. First time in 10 years the Dolphins have gotten the collar. And a big upset, Cincinnati over Pittsburgh. Boy, those Bengals can rise up, can't they?
That's twice this year they've beaten Pittsburgh.
That's right, and this time a squeaker, but they held on. Rob Carpenter now in the backfield, 26, look for him. But instead, Mike Renfro, and almost picked off by Gary Green, number 24. Green, the first defensive back drafted, number 1 since Jimmy Marsalis here in Kansas City. He's having quite a year.
This looks like a bad read by Kenny Stabler, but it's a design pass. They roll up in zone, and Green's up front, but Green just makes a great athletic move to get back and knock the ball away. This young man's having one heck of a season, Merle.
Manu Maliuna comes out. 5 defensive backs on the field for Kansas City. Paul Dombrowski, 46, is in there in the secondary on 3rd down passing situation. 3rd and 6 Houston on the Kansas City 34. The Snake. Coleman breaking a tackle. Coleman at the 10. Coleman near the 7. Paul Dombrowski, number 46, finally has to pull him down. Ronnie Coleman picking up 28 yards as again Stabler goes to his running backs.
Kenny Stabler can find the open man. When he reads that defense and gets time, the Snake always picks out the open receiver. And Coleman in this situation, first of all, makes an outstanding catch. Now watch the great athletic moves to stay on balance. Here he's about to go down, shakes and bakes, puts his hand down to keep the balance. And I'll tell you, he's hard to bring down. You've got to have more than one guy.
Did you see Billy White Shoes Johnson down there trying to knock that last defender out of the way? First down goal to go for Houston on the 7.
Like to see those wide receivers block.
I know you did too when you were playing. Yes, sir. First and goal. Wilson motion right. This is Campbell. Inside the 5 to the 3. Gary Spaney, 59, making the stop as Ed Fisher, the former Kansas City Chief, who was waived by Kansas City. Number 60 picked up by Houston. Applying the block, and Earl Campbell rolls on the ground today, and there's no doubt about that he is back at full strength. 2nd down goal.
If they put a wingman in motion, then look for Earl Campbell to run to the side of motion. They like to make the linebacker think about that motion man and then run Earl right at him, and he doesn't have time to think about making the tackle then.
Barber and Castor are in now. Double tight ends. Full house backfield now. In motion goes Carpenter. And Campbell heading for the corner, and he's got it at the flag. Touchdown, Earl Campbell. And Houston goes up 9-0 now.
Gee, I called it. They put him in motion, and Earl runs outside and scores. I love it. Every once in a while, I'm right, Earl.
You got the playbook right here. You wrote it for Bum Phillips this week.
That's it.
He said, Mike Hefner, what do you think we ought to do? And this is what you do. Give the ball to Earl.
Full house backfield, Carpenter in motion, Tim Wilson leading. And all Earl does is read the block. Does he take him inside? If he does, he goes outside, as he did. If they take him outside, he breaks back in and probably scores either way. Earl Campbell something.
2:56 to play now in the first half as Houston with Fritsch and Nielsen holding. Gifford puts it down, and Fritsch lets it go. And Houston has built the lead to 10 as Campbell has rushed for 83 yards here in the first half, and Houston leads 10-0. Championship. Soupy sales and custard pie throwing, and the hottest thing on wheels, skateboard fever strikes. All this and more this Thursday on Games People Play. Be sure to watch. Stay away from Soupy sales. He knows what those custard pies are about. 83-yard drive for the touchdown by Houston, the longest of the year, as Carson will return the Fritz kickoff, and he nails it on the 8, tries to get to the outside, and is rustled down by number 81, Jeff Groth, the wide receiver who can match Carson speed-wise, and he pulls him down.
You put the special teamers with the speed on the outside to cover that outside move, and Groth, the wide receiver with the good speed, kept him from breaking a long one.
We may have to do that one again.
I think Houston was offside.
Flag was thrown way back up the field at the kickoff. Bob McElway says, okay, bring it back and we'll try it again. That is, if Kansas City elects to take the option here of making Houston kick off again. Carson is all cranked up and ready to pop the afterburner if Fritz kicks it to him. Houston leading 10-0. 35-year-old soccer kicker bangs it downfield, and it will be taken on the 18 by Horace Belton, number 35, and Belton gets it out to the 35-yard line. And it was Darrell Hunt, who was offside a moment ago, who came down to make the tackle for the Houston Oilers, and Kansas City really did not get the field position they were looking for out of that.
They still got about 15 more yards, though, Merle, and that's a lot better than being on the 20.
Sure is, with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the first half. Houston on a first quarter field goal by Fritsch of 41 yards and an Earl Campbell touchdown run of 4 yards, leading by a score of 10-0. Bill Jackson, Mike, you send the dollars.
Yeah, I'll send the dollars.
Steve Fuller swings it on a screen to Tony Reed. And Reed fighting to the 39-yard line. Getting short yardage, about 4 would be the total. Ted Washington, 59, linebacker on the tackle. Tony Reed is out of Colorado. He missed 5 games last year, but he required no knee surgery. He was able to rehabilitate. He's thankful for that.
Be interesting to see how young Steve Fuller handles the 2-minute offense. We know what Stabrook can do. We've seen him do it.
Curly Culp is now playing the nose tackle for Houston. Fuller throwing as he was going down, and Brazil, 52, Robert there for the tackle, and we were looking to see if there was a receiver somewhere.
I think they're going to call in the grasp of a defensive lineman, and he blew the whistle before he threw the ball. That's exactly what it was, Merle.
It's a quarterback sack. And we're at the 2-minute mark with 1:58 seconds to go in the first half here in Houston. Rather, here in Kansas City. Houston leading Kansas City by a score of 10-0. We'll be back in a moment with the final 2 minutes. Steve Fuller at 6'4", 198 pounds, a pretty good running quarterback. But right now, Kansas City's got a lot of ground to cover with 1:58 seconds to go in the first half.
Tough on a youngster to run the 2-minute drill, no matter if you're a great quarterback or not.
Slot left Kansas City. Fuller with some time throws it back over the middle to Tony Reed coming out of the backfield. He's going up to the 48-yard line. First down. And a timeout called by Kansas City after a gain of 18 yards. Tony Reed taking that pass.
Sent all of his receivers deep. Houston has got to cover it. Then both backs circling out of the backfield. And Tony Reed can hurt people. I'll tell you, he's a tough runner and especially strong downstairs. Henderson takes him high, and looks like somebody rolled over on him.
Kansas City, first down, 1:48 to go in the first half, and the Chiefs are down by 10. Fuller breaks a tackle. Being pursued and gets that pass away, but it's incomplete. And 5 defensive backs on the field for Houston. It is dumped out to James Hadnot, and the fullback goes to midfield for a gain of 2. It'll be 3rd down and 8 coming up. Mike Hafner, it's still the experience, particularly in the 2-minute drill. That's something that even a good arm won't cure all the time.
Got to have that experience. You've got to see it over and over again so you get the quick.
Defense won that game for us, no doubt about it. 3rd down 8, Kansas City. And incomplete, intended for J.T. Smith. J.T. covered by J.C. Wilson, number 33, the left cornerback. And it's 4th down, Kansas City and 8.
That was a bad read.
Coaches. Not too much height on that one, but maybe a good roll. Let's see what the ball does. Out of bounds, inside the 20 at about the 18. So Kenny Stabler with 1:17 will now have a chance to work his magic.
Now we'll see the master. He can run the 2-minute offense as well as any other play.
We had a flag dropped, and Marv Levy says, come on back. Maybe it's going to be in our favor, and apparently it is as the crowd reacts. A 33-yard punt.
Conservative will go up top. We'll see.
Campbell through the middle and to about the 11 or 12. Art Still, 67, the defensive left end, leads the charge with a 3-yard drive, the longest of the year for the Oilers. He rushed from 4 yards out with 2:56 to go in the half, and the extra point made it 10-0.
It's been Earl Campbell's half all the way. He is responsible for the 10 points, and number 34 has been the main man in the first half, and that Houston defense has shut down Kansas City's passing game and stopped them completely.
And Stabler has gone to Campbell for 94 yards rushing, and Bum Phillips will talk to his team at halftime and say, guys, we got to get more. We'll be back after this. Chiefs and Steve Fuller is going to have to really get this Kansas City offense going in the second half. It'll always be a conservative offense, though, Mike Heffner.
There's no doubt about it, especially with the fact that they're all young. And the one thing that offensive line has got to do for Fuller is give him time to throw the football.
Kansas City will get the first shot in the second half as Tony Fritsch will kick it away. Carlos Carson is back deep for Kansas City. And it is coming up short at the 18-yard line, and Ed Beckman, a tight end, up front grabs the ball and takes it to the 30, and that's where Kansas City will put it in play. As Adger Armstrong was there to make the tackle, Tony Fritsch kicking it short. Looking at the game statistically in the first half, dominated by the Oilers, total yards 190 to Kansas City 69, and of the 99 yards rushing, Earl Campbell has 94 of that for the Houston Oilers. And look at the possession time. Mike, you got to have the football.
When you're running the football like Earl Campbell does, that 21:57 tells the story.
Kansas City's ball in its own 30. Steve Fuller going to the running game. Tony Reed trying to get to the outside, cannot do it, is knocked down at the line of scrimmage, or maybe a yard short of that. Greg Bingham, number 54, number 4 draft choice in 1973 for the Houston Oilers, making the tackle.
One of the things you can't do against the 3-4 is run outside, and it's not only the linebackers, but J.C. Wilson, the cornerback, comes up and also forces, it stops Reed for a loss.
All right, Kansas City is going to make some switches with the offense. J.T. Smith, Mike Williams, Carlos Carson, Ed Beckman. Ed Beckman has come out, and it's going to be Carson split wide to the left. Second down, 11. And it is complete to Carlos Carson, and Wilson checked that. J.T. Smith, 86, made the reception. J.C. Wilson made the tackle for the Houston Oilers on the 46-yard line after an 18-yard pickup. J.C., number 33 for Houston.
Earl, you pointed out the changes on offense for Kansas City, and right away it clicked in my head that they're going to throw the football, and here's a first down pass, which you don't see Kansas City do very often. So you know at halftime they went in and said, we got to throw the football to win this game, and we're going to come out throwing it.
Stan Rome, 87, has replaced Carlos Carson as a wide receiver. Tony Reed about the line of scrimmage, and that's all. UC 54, Greg Bingham, 8-year veteran from Purdue in there with Ken Kennard, 71, the nose tackle. Bum said, in fact, Bum said until last week, he said, you know, it's a shame that Ken Kennard has not been a starter. Well, he started last week and he started this week.
He's in there now, and he's making a difference. It's tough to move Curly Culp out, though.
Kansas City has no tight end in there right now. They have 4 wide receivers, second down, 11. Houston puts on the rush, and it's completed to Reed out of the backfield, breaking a tackle down to the 40, 35, and he is at the 30. He is inside the 30, and Jack Tatum, now in the secondary for Houston, finally wrestles him down. That's the biggest gain of the day for the Kansas City Chiefs, a 25-yard pickup and a first down just inside the Houston 30.
Steve Fuller made a good call on this play. Of course, the plays come in from the bench, but he just beat him deep. Now he wants to back out of the backfield and watch the move on Robert Brazil by Tony Reed. Hello, that gave him an extra 20 yards at least. Reed made a great move, great individual effort to put Kansas City in their best field position of the day.
Henry Marshall splits out wide to the right. Beckman is now in as a tight end for Kansas City. In fact, they have two tight ends in the ball game. Go to the run. Tony Reed cannot get to the outside as Greg Bingham, 54, the linebacker, is up there with Vernon Perry, the strong safety, to make the tackle. Reed now 3 carries, 47, check that, 3 passes received for 47 yards by Reed.
You want to get this Kansas City offense cranked up, you've got to throw the football to the backs downfield. And Fuller, I mean, there's just no other answer. He's got to put it in the air.
And they've got the wide receivers in there now. Fuller to go upstairs. He wants it all. That's Henry Marshall, touchdown. Henry Marshall, the 5-year veteran from Missouri, beat Mike Reinfeldt, number 37, the weak safety, and a 31-yard touchdown pass puts Kansas City on the scoreboard for the first time today.
That woke up to 75,000. Oh, Henry Marshall ran a perfect corner pattern. Mike Reinfeldt has that deep third of the field, Merle, and he didn't rotate quickly enough in the zone. And Fuller picked up Marshall right away and hit him perfectly, right striding into the end zone. And that's what Kansas City had to do to get back in the game.
And Kansas City indeed is right back into the ball game as Nick Lowry comes in for the extra point try. They've driven 70 yards to get this first touchdown of the day. And Lowry is right up the middle. So we're 11 minutes and 28 seconds away from the end of the third quarter. Kansas City starting early, getting on the scoreboard, leading 10-7, and we'll return in a moment.
Zone, it's rolling up toward the left side of your screen. That means Mike Reinfeldt has the deep third to your left, and you obviously didn't get there, and he hit Marshall perfectly in stride for 6.
Mike Reinfeldt, one of the fine defensive backs in the league, but you can't stop them all. Not when they're run as perfectly as that one. Nick Lowry to kick off. Roaches is deep, and this is Roaches, but the ball goes right by him out of the end zone. There'll be no run back, of course, and Houston will have the ball on its own 20-yard line.
Nick Lowry showed his big foot that time, didn't he?
Indeed he did. It took Kansas City 6 plays to get that 7 points. And of course, the 31-yard touchdown pass from Fuller to Henry Marshall capped it all and made Marv Levy's life a little more tolerable here this afternoon, but he still trails by 3. Now let's see what the Kansas City defense can do. Will they blitz Stabler, as did the Seattle Seahawks last week rather. They put the all-out blitz on Stabler.
Better get to Kenny quick, though, because if he reads blitz, he'll burn you for 80 yards.
Campbell, the tailback. Earl on the slant. Look at him go. Campbell now over 100 yards for the day at the 34-yard line, a gain of 14 and a first down. And Billy White Shoes Johnson was doing some blocking for him. Gary Green, 24, over there to make the tackle. He's the cornerback, 4-year veteran from Baylor. I'm Merle Harmon with Mike Hafner in Kansas City, where Houston leads the Kansas City Chiefs by a score of 10-7. Rob Carpenter has now come in for Houston to the backfield along with Campbell. When Carpenter is in there, sometimes it means pass. Slot left. It means run. Carpenter in front of Campbell as Campbell makes his cut to the 37 and Thomas Howard. 52, the linebacker from Texas Tech, playing the left side for the Kansas City Chiefs, makes the stop. Bum Phillips cheerleading his team on from the sideline. Campbell now 111 yards in 26 carries for the day.
Boy, does he put pressure on linebackers. They don't know whether to play pass or come up to tackle him.
Campbell, a gain of 4 on the last one, 2nd down 6. Fake to Campbell. Stabler picked off by Gary Spaney, the linebacker of Kansas City. And only Rob Carpenter can stop him. He cannot. And it is Spaney all the way in for the touchdown. Rob Carpenter, 26, had a shot at him, but he broke that tackle, bringing it back 40 yards. And all of a sudden, the Kansas City Chiefs have the lead.
Oh, that woke him up here. Two big, quick touchdowns, and the Chiefs are on top. And Kenny Stabler made a mistake. He read the linebackers incorrectly. He didn't even see Spaney, and he tried to throw it outside, and Spaney just stepped in front, and goodbye. A bad read by Stabler on this one. And you'll see, he doesn't even look inside, and that's where Spaney comes from. He came from out of his vision, and I'm certain Kenny never saw 59, Spaney. Now watch the great effort. He's not going to deny this linebacker. He scored one last week with a fumble recovery. And this time, picks off a pass and goes in for the leading touchdown for the Chiefs, and they're going nuts.
And Lowry for the extra point try. Fuller to hold. And the Chiefs lead 14-10. So this game has suddenly turned around as the Chiefs have scored twice here in the third quarter and lead 14-10 with 9:55 to go. He has had to fight off some illness to keep going. He's a graduate of Kansas State University out in Manhattan, Kansas. Third year, he was on the camp squad here for a couple of years, but he has come on strong. He had an 18-yard touchdown against Oakland last week on a recovery, and now a pass interception and run of 47 yards for a touchdown. And this is Roaches in the end zone, taking the kickoff by Lowry. Carl Roaches out of Texas A&M, fires his way out to the 17-yard line. And Jerry Blanton, 57, a linebacker who plays on the special teams, downfield to make the tackle. It's Houston's ball.
Kenny Stabler now in for it. He's made a mistake. He'll be a little more tentative now. And again, the pressure on the linebackers by Earl Campbell, he's got to use that. They dropped off and picked off a pass and took it in for a touchdown because they didn't fear Campbell, and so they're going to have to run him again inside.
Stabler has been intercepted twice today, 14 times for the year, 5 times each in 2 ball games, and now he is behind by 4. Jeff Groth, 81, is in as a wide receiver. Campbell, and leading the blocking, Wilson, as Campbell rolls. Campbell to the 40, Earl Campbell to the 42 before Thomas Howard, 52, the linebacker, can get him down. What a performance by Earl Campbell today. He's almost certain to break the Houston rushing record this afternoon. Mike Barber, 86, the tight end out there leading him. A 25-yard pickup by Campbell.
Kenny Stabler must have been listening to me. I said he's got to run Campbell inside and outside. He picks up 25 yards, and now at 134, and does that tie him?
One away, that's right. He needs one more to break the record held by Hoyle Granger as the leading rusher of all time for Houston. Slot left for the Oilers at the 40. Campbell, the new rushing leader of Houston in a career, out to the 46. Manu Maliuna, 54, the linebacker, makes the tackle.
I know Kenny Stabler's kicking himself for throwing that interception that caused the Chiefs to get the lead, because Earl Campbell had been the main man in the whole first half. He went away from him trying to throw the ball instead of run it, and I think Kenny's changed his mind going back to 34.
Hoyle Granger held the previous career rushing record of 3,514 yards in the career with the Oilers, and now Campbell is over that. After a gain of 6, second down 4. Campbell 139 yards on 28 carries. Tim Wilson gets a call, and look at him go for a first down to the 46, and Whitney Paul, 53, the linebacker, and Art Still, 67, the defensive left end, have to bring him down. Leon Gray, 74, opening the hole for Tim Wilson.
And I think it's more of a surprise than great blocking. It's always Wilson that leads Earl Campbell, and when Wilson does get the football, it surprises the Kansas City linebackers, and he made an outstanding gain for a first.
Someday he's going to be the subject of trivia questions.
Who blocked for Earl Campbell?
There he is, Timmy Wilson. So now the Oilers are on the march, trailing by 4 in the third quarter. Campbell again, hurling his way down to the 42, and Art Still, 67, puts that 6'7", 252-pound frame into him to knock him down.
This is the familiar spot for Tim Wilson, the lead blocker for Earl Campbell, and we've been mentioning it all day. And I'll tell you, they're like Siamese twins, one stuck to the other.
Morris Towns, number 76, the offensive right tackle for Houston, really has his work cut out. He's got to block Art Still. A gain of 4, it'll be second down 6. Groth is split to the right. Renfro in the slot. Campbell again. Campbell cuts inside, running low to the turf, and he might have the first down at the 35. Gary Barbaro, number 26, out of Nicholls State, makes the stop. And as usual, Earl Campbell gets up oh so slowly. I suppose Bum Phillips can always read Campbell if he is just, you know, going through his routine and getting up slowly or shaking up a little bit. I think that time he might have been shaken up as Leon Gray points to the sideline and says, hey, maybe you better, that's Leon Gray, 74, maybe you better give Earl a little help. Earl says, I don't need any help. Look at that. 30 carries, 151 yards and a touchdown.
That's a week's work for a lot of running backs.
We will now have the measurement. Earl Campbell, in his first year, only rolled for 1,697 yards. Last year, 1,450. That's a lot of real estate. First down, Houston. Merle Herman and Mike Hafner with you from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The sun is out, shining right now for Bum Phillips and his Houston Oilers, who are on a long march. Rob Carpenter, 26, has come into the backfield, and Earl Campbell will go out for the Oilers.
After 30 carries, Murley deserves a rest for 3 or 4 minutes, but he'll be back in there. This is a very important drive for Houston to reestablish themselves.
Growth 81 splits to the right. Mike Renfro 82 is in the slot right for Houston. This is Rob Carpenter, and Carpenter is inside the 30, down to the 27, brought down by Manu Maliuna. Rob Carpenter is a real hard-nosed football player. He's a great athlete. He's out of Miami of Ohio. He's a track man, a pole vaulter, 6'2", 230 pounds, and Carpenter's another one of those unsung heroes for the Houston Oilers. It'll be second down 2 after that pickup of 8.
If you're in the running back core for the Houston Oilers, you're always forgotten unless your name's Earl Campbell.
Second down 2. Growth goes to the left. Into the slot left is Mike Renfro. Stabler, the snake, at the controls. Still staying with the running game, and Carpenter got very little. Ken Kramer, number 91, out of Ball State, on the defensive line, 6'4", 250, making the stop. Now Earl Campbell comes back in, and we'll also have a switch for Houston at the wide receiver spots as Rich Castor comes in along with Barber. They go double tight end with 3rd down and 1, a gain of 1 on the last play.
And in this drive, and it's over 50 yards already, Kenny Stabler has not thrown a pass. He remembers that interception.
Just wonder, will he stay on the ground here with 3rd down and 1? Probably, but you never know with the snake. You just never know. It might be the time.
That's the motion.
It'll be another time. Campbell trying to get to the outside. Here comes the defense, and he is stopped by Gary Barbaro, the free safety who came up. The blocking wasn't there for Campbell, and Barbaro, who's big enough to be a linebacker at 6'4" and 200 pounds plus, came up there to hit him down. Gary Barbaro, number 26, who's been an outstanding defensive performer, and Campbell, particularly on the short yardage, is extremely tough to bring down. He lost 3.
I'll tell you, one-on-one, you don't bring Earl Campbell down very often. And look what Barbaro does. He just dives in, takes his legs out from under him. That's a great play to stop him on 3rd and 1. You don't do that to Earl Campbell very often.
And almost a late pop by Kansas City. Tony Fritsch is in. Gifford Nielsen will hold from the 36. If Fritsch makes it, Houston will still be a point short. Kansas City leading by 4. Here we go. Fritsch was perfect coming into the game today. He's perfect on that one. Fritsch puts another field goal on the board. And now with 3:53 to go in the 3rd quarter, Kansas City's lead has been cut to 1. Field goals of 41 and 46 yards today has brought Houston back within 1, and he will kick off to Carlos Carson. Kansas City by 14 to 13. It's Carson on the 10. The wall at the 20. Carson breaks through. Carson at the 40 and is pulled down just shy of the 40-yard line. Greg Davidson got him down as Carson almost broke it, and he ran it back 30 to the 40-yard line. NBC brought it to television first. The spectacular plays, the memorable moments. The World Series is back where it belongs. This Tuesday, October 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, you'll see the Kansas City Royals battle either the Houston Astros or Philadelphia Phillies at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, right here on NBC Sports. So we have a possibility of a duel, Kansas City-Houston, situation with right now the Chiefs ahead of the Houston Oilers by 1. Fuller going upstairs. That's Henry Marshall, a great catch. He's down to the 40-yard line. Mike Reinfeldt, 37, had the coverage on the play as Henry Marshall pulled it down for a gain of 20. And Mike Hafner, you just said while we were away, they got to go to the air.
I like it. Play action pass on first down. He fakes to Tony Reed. He's got Marshall coming across the middle in that slot between the linebackers and the deep backs, and Marshall makes a great catch. Oh, he's got some good hands. Look at this. Stretches all the way out, uses his fingertips, and then pulls it in so he doesn't drop it when his elbows hit. And a great call. I like it. Don't be conservative here, Marv Levy.
Marshall 2 for 51 in the reception department. Ted McKnight. McKnight goes down to about the 36, where Ken Kennard, 71, the nose tackle, swarms all over him. He's out of Angelo State at 245 pounds in a starting role now. He's taken over from the veteran Curly Culp, who has seen some action this afternoon. Mike Stensrud is now in. He's playing up front. That gives Houston a front 4. Stan Rome, 87, has come in. Carlos Carson, 88, has come out for Kansas City as a wide receiver after a gain of 3, second down 7.
Fuller's got him in field goal position almost. But he's got to keep throwing, Merle.
The draw going to Tony Reed at the 30. Reed slipping going down near the 26. Greg Bingham, 54, was right there. Nice run by Tony Reed out of the University of Colorado. So right now the momentum belongs to Kansas City, and Reed picks up 10 for a first down. Mike Williams, 83, comes in back in as a tight end now for Kansas City.
And if Kansas City can stick a touchdown on Houston, they could put them in an awful hole, Merle. We're almost at the end of the third quarter.
J.T. Smith splits to the right. Wide to the left side, Henry Marshall. Kansas City double shifting, now going to the I. Ted McKnight. And McKnight, the fullback, to the 27, and Andy Doris, 69, who almost didn't come to Houston when the Oilers picked him up. An 8-year veteran makes the tackle. Vernon Perry, 32, also up there to help out. Henry Marshall.
They don't like the fact, he doesn't like the fact they haven't been thrown to him.
Well, I wonder if Henry's going to go over the bench and say anything to Marv Levy. He drew a fine after the first game of the year. He said, they're not throwing to me enough.
That cost him.
Second down, 10. Inside handoff goes to Ted McKnight. McKnight's inside the 20 to the 19. And Robert Brazil, 52, the linebacker from Jackson State, makes the tackle for the Oilers. And a gain of almost 7, almost 8 yards. It'll be third down and 2, and Rudney took a shot.
Great inside quick trap, and I think Houston was looking for the pass, and they got the outside pass rush from their 4-down linemen, and that opened up a big hole, and Rudney helped them with that great trap block.
It is now third down 2. Ed Beckman, a tight end, has come on for Kansas City. Carson is out. Beckman is 85. Mike Williams, 83. Third down short for Kansas City. 13 seconds in the third quarter. A roll by Fuller. First down inside the 15 to the 14. With 8 seconds to go in the first half. A bootleg roll right for Steve Fuller. And a first down for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Completely naked reverse. There wasn't anybody out there blocking for him. He had to rely on just totally fooling the outside linebacker, and he did. Got the first down. And oh, the pressure is on the Big Blue right now.
Kansas City has been a completely different team in the second half. They were held to less than 70 yards total offense in the first half. But Steve Fuller, who has rushed for 96 yards this year and is the third leading rusher for Kansas City, picks up the first down. He's got 8 seconds to go in the third quarter with a 1-point lead inside the 15 of Houston. McKnight down inside the 10 to the 9. First down and goal to go as Andy Doris, 69, the defensive left end, makes the stop. And we've reached the end of the third quarter with the score. Kansas City 14, Houston 13. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. first half, trailing 10-0, take a 14-13 lead into the fourth quarter and have the ball first and goal to go inside the Houston 10-yard line before a crowd of better than 75,000 here at Arrowhead.
And Merle, it's very important they get a touchdown. That means Houston has to have 2 scores to catch up. If they have to settle for a field goal, then Houston only needs 1 touchdown to regain the lead.
Kansas City sending wide receivers to each side. McKnight and Reed are the setbacks. And it is Fuller looking for some place. He might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Broken play there. That one broke down completely, and Fuller all of a sudden wound up with the football himself, looking at all those blue shirts. Mike Stensrud, 67 at 280 pounds, zeroed in on him, along with Mike Reinfeldt, number 37.
I think Tony Reed is a little bit confused here. He made a move. It was a crossbuck play, and you saw the running back go in front of Reed. And I think that McKnight made the wrong move. Impossible for Fuller to hand off, but he did the smart thing. Instead of trying to reach out and stuff it in, he kept it himself and took a no-gain play.
Kansas City now with a 3rd down and goal to go. The ball just about at the 10. Fuller, and it is broken up and intercepted at the 5-yard line. Vernon Perry bringing it back to the 30. Still on his feet at the 40. Finally pulled down to the 43-yard line. Vernon Perry grabbed up that deflection as Fuller went down. Has turned the momentum, possibly, anyway, to the other side.
Oh, what a big, big play, Merle. This game was all Kansas City's if they could have gotten in the end zone, and he forced it. The ball tipped up in the air, and there's Vernon Perry, the star of the playoffs last year.
So Houston has the ball, 14 to go. They trail by 1. Sideline, I am sure thinking, why didn't I hold on to that football? Why didn't I take whatever I had to take and never throw in that situation, taking a chance of an interception, which is exactly what happened. And Perry's brought that ball back to the 45-yard line, and now Stabler has it. Campbell tagged at the line of scrimmage on the 45-yard line, and still he keeps going until Barbaro can get him down, and he got about 4. Next Sunday, start your day with NFL 80 and host Bryant Gumbel, bringing you all the latest news, scores, and highlights. Then it's exciting regional action as the Buffalo Bills take on the Miami Dolphins, or the Seattle Seahawks battle the New York Jets. Following football, it's the 1980 World Series, back where it belongs, if necessary, Game 5, all here on NBC, and we'll be back right after this message. The Snake and the Oilers have lost Mike Barber, at least temporarily. Mike jarred in the last play, helped off the field.
There he goes.
And let's hope that Mike is back in there. He might be a little fuzzy right now. Rich Castor, 88, has come in to replace him. Houston has the ball, 2nd down and 6 on the 49-yard line of the Oilers. Carl Mock is up over the ball. Bob Young and Ed Fisher the guards. Leon Gray, Morris Towns the tackles. Carpenter is in the backfield on 2nd down. Campbell running hard. He's got a 1st down to the 42-yard line. Gary Barbaro, the free safety, and Christopher, the strong safety, number 41, had to come up to make the stop. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KPRC TV, Channel 2, Houston.
Merle Herman and Mike Hafner with you from Kansas City, where the Kansas City Chiefs, who play next door to the Royals, are leading Houston 14-13 in the fourth quarter. Kansas City scoring twice in the 3rd period. Stabler, 1st down.
Kansas City territory. Campbell again. Sweep is on. Campbell, look at him go inside the 35 to the 33, and he is finally brought down by Frank Manu Maliuna and Gary Barbaro. Numbers 54
and David Carter, number 58, out there on the block. 170 yards now for Earl Campbell. What a day.
170 yards. Most backs don't gain that in a month, Merle.
And no doubt about Campbell being back full blast now. 12:15 to go in the game. Houston methodically pounding on this drive, taking the ball after the interception all the way down to the 33-yard line of Kansas City. In the 3rd quarter, Kansas City shared almost equal time with the Oilers with the football. 7 minutes 25 seconds to 7 minutes 35 seconds. Rob Carpenter going nowhere as Gary Spaney, who intercepted and ran for a touchdown, makes the tackle on that one. And Whitney Paul, the outside linebacker, number 53, coming up to help out.
Earl Campbell, who's carried the ball 34 times today, this time he says, I'm going to take a rest. Thank you very much. Little fake. Let somebody else carry it. I've had it 34 times today to match my number.
We've got to have a measurement, and it's going to be short by that much.
Turned out well. Earl got to run a fake. Then they had to measure. Now he's caught his breath. Guess who's going to get the ball for the first down run?
So, referee Bob McElwee gingerly sets that ball down. And Houston will bring on a pair of tight ends. Mike Barber back in there. Let's see, is Barber back in? Rich Castor has come on. And we may have Ed Fisher moving over there to play a tight end. Moving out from the guard spot, which would put David Carter at a guard spot. And that's the way it is. David Carter playing right guard for Ed Fisher has moved out to tight end. 3rd down inches. Here we go.
Hello, Earl.
First down as Art Still, number 67, swarms over him, but Campbell with tremendous power goes to the 29-yard line, and another first down. Must really be something when you're looking at a guy like this in the face. You're going to say, I'm going to stop him, but you can't.
225 pounds and 5'11", which is very important. That low center of gravity makes it very difficult to tackle Earl low or high. He's so compact that he just runs right over you.
So Earl Campbell charges on toward a 200-yard game. Slot left. Houston trailing by 1. 4th quarter. Campbell again. Wilson out front. And a tackle missed, and Campbell's inside the 30 at the 28. Thomas Howard brings him down. I'm not sure if that was Manu Maliuna or Spaney who missed him trying to get a necktie tackle. I think it was Spaney, and he spun him off, and then it was Howard who finally got him down. A gain of 2. It'll be 2nd and 8.
With that low center of gravity, you don't tackle Earl Campbell up around the neck unless you got a straight shot at him. If he's running away from you, he'll either drag you along or just shrug you off like you weren't even there.
Earl Campbell already holds the NFL record for the most consecutive 100-yard games in a single season. He had 7. Now he's on his way to a 200-yard game. Ronnie Coleman is now in for Houston. 2nd and 8. Coleman in motion left. Stabler looking for him. There he is. Screen to Coleman. Hey, look at the defense by Kansas City, though. Number 75, Sylvester Hicks, just off the injured list, making a big play now. He was out for the last 4 weeks with an injured right shoulder, but Hicks really saw himself in the spotlight there with a big, big defensive effort.
Kansas City figured that Kenny was going to have to make his first pass of this drive. So they key on Coleman, who has caught the ball so often for Stabler. And here he tries the screen pass, but look at somebody else knew that Kenny was going to throw that screen, because look at all the red pants around there.
A loss of 4, 3rd down, 13. 5 defensive backs on the field for Kansas City. Coleman and Carpenter, the running backs. Stabler with a lot of time. Spots Castor, and a flag is down as Castor goes to the 23, short of a first down. The coverage by Emil Carter, who was injured in the first half but has come back in the second half here. The defensive right cornerback for Kansas City.
Pass interference, I think, Merle. Holding. Defensive holding. Automatic first down. What a break. Let's take a look. Castor coming over the middle. And I'll bet you anything, a linebacker grabbed him by the shirt to keep him out of the pass play because it was a broken play. We don't get to see it, but that flag was dropped where Castor made his move to get open after Stabler had scrambled. And that's what usually happens. A linebacker doesn't want him to get away, and he'll grab his shirt.
Bob McElwee discussing the situation with Leon Gray, one of the co-captains. Kansas City fans starting to buzz. They think that the penalty is going the other way, but it's not. They're just marking it off.
Holding, number 52 on the defense. First down.
So Thomas Howard was caught holding. Bum Phillips and Ed Biles on the sideline. By the way, Ed's wife, Jackie, is hospitalized in Houston. Will undergo surgery tomorrow. We wish her the very best. Bum Phillips, familiar figure on the sideline. First down. Barber back in there. Earl Campbell gets the call. No place to go. Look at him reverse, going the other way. Pursued on by Thomas Howard, and Earl Campbell running all over the football field to avoid a loss. Turns it into a gain at the 24, and Sylvester Hicks, 75, finally, with great lateral pursuit, went across to bring him down.
He turned a 1-yard loss into a 4-yard gain. Campbell's amazing.
Unbelievable. He is on his way to a record-breaking day. He has never gone 200 yards in a single ball game, but he's not that far away now with 8:25 to play. Kansas City 14, Houston 13. Houston led at the half by a score of 10-0.
Earl Campbell had 199 yards against Miami in his rookie year. He could break that today.
2nd and 8. Stabler, a little play action. Going for Barber. There he is. Touchdown, Houston. Herb Christopher beaten on the play. Mike Barber coming up with a touchdown reception to put Houston back into the lead, a 26-yard reception. And Mike Barber is going to be deliriously happy that Ken Stabler is his quarterback. He loves to go to the tight ends. His criticism of Pastoriti was bombs away. Don't play with the tight ends. But, of course, as you said earlier, this guy loves his tight ends, Mike.
Oh, yes, he does. And I'll tell you, he fooled the Kansas City defense, Mike Barber. He limped off the field, had to be helped. They probably figured, well, he'll never get in the pattern. And he runs the quick slant out to the corner. Stabler picks him up. And I know that Kansas City was fooled. They didn't think that Barber was healthy enough.
Now the extra point try. Nielsen holding for Tony Fritsch. It is 19-14. Houston back into the lead. And it's now 20-14. Houston comes back on top after losing a 10-0 halftime lead. They are now back in front by 6 with 8:05 to go in this game here in Kansas City before 75,048 fans at Arrowhead Stadium.
Here's Wilson, and Kansas City thinks he was holding here, and I tend to agree with him. That looks like a bulldog to me.
Put him in the rodeo, or rodeo, if you will. So it's 8:05 to go, and Houston is on top by 6. The Snake has just brought the Houston Oilers back, and you talk about an admiration society. Campbell and Stabler. Stabler has been given a new dimension with Campbell and vice versa. So there are the stories today, Mike.
I'd love to turn around and hand off to that guy every time.
Now it'll be Fritsch to kick off. Carlos Carson is deep for Kansas City, and the Chiefs are down by 6. Carson at the 10. There's the wall. Carson breaks to the outside and runs over one of his own blockers, and down he goes in the 24, covered by Jack Tatum, coming off the bench to join the special teams unit. So Tatum gets the tackle. Now the offensive unit for Kansas City, looking at the clock, 7:55 to go, down by 6.
Another look at the touchdown pass. Again, Barber had been helped off the field, and I'm certain the Kansas City defense didn't think he was healthy enough to get out on that deep pass, but he did. Snake hit him right between the 8 and the 6. Put him back in front.
And that drive, 55 yards, 9 plays, set up with a pass interception by Vernon Perry. Didn't take much to do that one. 5:56. Kansas City trailing by 6. Fuller looks to throw. And it is incomplete at the 43-yard line in Kansas City territory. J.T. Smith, whose nose was broken earlier in the game, was the intended receiver, and Steve Fuller went down. So the clock is stopped. 7:50 left to play in this one. Houston leading by 10-0 at the half, going down 14-13 at the end of the third quarter, right back in the fourth quarter to grab a 20-14 lead, and that's the way it is right now. Rome has come in. Stan Rome, 87, a second-year man from Clemson who was Fuller's pass catcher in college, is now in the ball game. Andy Doris, Ken Kennard, Jesse Baker, and Mike Stensrud, 4-man front up there now for Houston defensively. 2nd and 10. Fuller dumps it over the middle to Tony Reed coming out of the backfield, and Tony is near a first down at the 32, but he's going to be short by a yard or so. Robert Brazil, 52, the linebacker, had the coverage.
Great play by Brazil. He was one-on-one with Tony Reed, and if Reed would have gotten away, it was a 30 or 40-yard gain, but Brazil caught him from behind. Again, that great speed by the linebackers.
mark the ball officially at the 31, which makes it 3rd down 2 as Carlos Carson brings the play in, number 88, a rookie from LSU. Stan Rome goes out for Kansas City. Steve Fuller and Marv Levy have opened this game up. The offense up for Kansas City here in the second half. It resulted in the Chiefs putting 14 points on the board and having a lead. Here's a draw going to Ted McKnight. McKnight is across the 35, knocked backward, but he's got enough for the first down. So McKnight picks up the first down. Art Stringer, 56, the linebacker who missed the game last week because of a knee injury. He's had an injury-riddled career. He got the tackle. But it's first down, Kansas City.
Excellent call, the draw play in that situation. Obviously, Houston looking for the pass because Kansas City's playing catch-up.
Rome and Carson are now alternating, bringing the plays in.
So you can see the defensive linemen and the linebackers are playing pass first. They all took a step backwards, and that was the reason for the gain on the draw.
Kansas City, 10 first downs, Houston 20. Houston leading by 6. Right over the middle it goes. Oh, what a shot on Ted McKnight. That one felt by Greg Bingham, and McKnight will be a little bit slow getting up after that one.
Greg Bingham's played 180 straight games. Ever since he was drafted, walked right on the field and has started every down. And he's usually the run linebacker, the guy who stops the running play. But I'll tell you what, McKnight doesn't want to ever see him again after he catches a pass. That one hurt.
Gain of 6, second down 4. The play is brought in by Mike Williams. The tight end, Henry Marshall, goes out, comes to the sideline. 5 minutes, 50 seconds left to play. Houston 20, Kansas City 14. Merle Herman and Mike Hafner with you in Kansas City. Crowd of over 75,000 looking on. That's McKnight in motion. Fake the reverse, and it is Reed carrying the ball. And Reed is rolled out of bounds near the 45, and I believe just short of a first down. Art Stringer, 56, Ted Washington, 59, the linebackers, chased him out of bounds.
He's short by almost a yard.
Now Kansas City will have a 3rd down, about a yard to go. Tony Reed has picked up 32 yards today on 9 carries. The wide receivers come out, the tight ends come in for Kansas City. Jim Rourke, a tackle, is now playing a tight end, normally a tackle. Ed Beckman is playing the right side. And Rourke, number 70, plays the left side. That's Beckman in motion. And the block is that way, and it is a first down for Ted McKnight at the 49-yard line. Robert Brazil, 52, had the stop with Greg Stemrick, 27. And you know, Mike, I'm surprised that play didn't gain more because they really had the blockers out there.
They did well. They took a page out of the Houston Oilers book. They put the motion man towards the way they were going to run, and McKnight almost broke it. There's McKnight. He's hurt on that one.
And James Hadnot, 48, will come in to replace him. It's 20-14 Houston. 5 minutes left to play as the clock grinds down. And Kansas City putting the ball in play. Fuller dumps it off, swings it out to Hadnot. Hadnot with that big frame of his, 244 pounds, bounces all the way down to the 43-yard line. And J.C. Wilson had to take him on at 177. He is short of a first down, however, but he got 7.
I'll tell you, it takes guts to play cornerback in the National Football League, especially when you have to go outside and take on a 235, 240-pound fullback. But look at Wilson at 175.
It'll be second down 3 as we complete the play there. A gain of 7 by Hadnot. He is out of the ball game. Arnold Morgado is in there now with Tony Reed. Morgado in for the first time today. Formerly a starter for Kansas City. He's been on the injured list. That's Morgado. Morgado finds a hole in the middle, goes across the 40, down to the 36, and Ted Washington, 59, the linebacker, makes the stop. Morgado out of Hawaii, who had a broken right leg a year ago, getting an action coming off the injured list as Marv Levy sends in the play.
I'll tell you, that offensive line for Kansas City is inspired, Merle. The great run by McKnight where they blew him out, and now Morgado comes in for his first carry. And I swear, the Houston linebackers and defensive linemen were back 3 yards even before Morgado touched the ball.
Fuller in the air, 11 for 18, 147 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Fuller dropping, looking, where's the receiver? Not there, and Fuller eats the football at the 38 as Jesse Baker. The designated sacker for the Houston Oilers comes in and makes the tackle to throw Fuller for a loss of a couple.
Smart play by Fuller. All the receivers were covered, and this time, instead of trying to force the football when he got it picked off, This time he pulls it down and eats it. He knows better. They have got to have the football. And a 25-yard gain because of a great catch isn't going to help him any. So eat it now and see if he can come back and get the first down on the next play.
Second down, 12 coming up. You saw a familiar number, 78, Curly Culp, who's now in there. Used to be with the Chiefs, was part of the great Super Bowl team. And we've got a timeout by Houston. 3 minutes, 2 seconds to go in the game. Houston on top by 6, and we'll be right back after this message. They use all kinds of transportation to come to the Big Arrowhead Stadium, and this guy not only came to the stadium, but he has the best seat in the house. Ted McKnight had an injured ankle, but he is back in. Houston leading 20-14, and we're down to 3:02 to play. Kansas City on the Houston 38. Second and 12. Fuller being rushed. Fuller breaks the tackle. Where's the receiver? Not there. He's going to run the football. He is on the way down to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Kansas City takes the lead. Fuller looking all over the field. No receiver. Look at this crowd. A 38-yard touchdown run by Steve Fuller. He looked everywhere. He had no receiver. He's the third leading rusher anyway, and this is one of the reasons why.
A smart play. Fuller uses his athletic ability to get away from the big pass rush. Now he wants to throw it, but he remembers the interception earlier that turned this game back to Houston. Now he pulls it down, and at 6'4" and 200 pounds, this young man can really run. And as you said, Merle, he's the third leading rusher on the team. He just showed you why.
Well, Kansas City tied, and now Kansas City into the lead. Kansas City 21, Houston 20. 2 minutes and 51 seconds left to play in this ball game. Don't leave us here. We've got a wild finish coming up for you. 75,000 fans in Kansas City in war paint, the mascot. All happy about that last play as Fuller ran it in, 38 yards for a touchdown. He has 49 yards rushing for the day, and Nick Lowry will kick it away. Carl Roach is at the other end of the field, back deep with Jeff Groth. And it's right out of the end zone. There'll be no run back on this one. Now we will see Ken Stabler go to work. And these fans will have to, well, most of them right now are standing, as the scoring drive covered 76 yards in 10 plays with 5 minutes and 14 seconds eaten off the clock by the Kansas City Chiefs. And Fuller took it in for the touchdown. And now Stabler is 80 yards away from putting Houston back in front. And he is down by 1 point. And you're going to see a great show here in the final 2 minutes and 48 seconds. I'm sure of that. Because this defense of Kansas City is really cranked up. But Stabler has faced this situation before.
He is one of the best ever at the 2-minute drill. He's got 2:48 to go. He's got all of his timeouts left. This is going to be interesting, Merle.
Carpenter and Coleman are his running backs. Airborne. That's the story. Stabler with time. And, ooh, the pass is dropped. Billy White Shoes Johnson was going to carry the ball before he had possession. He was wide open on the sideline. He was going to have about a 17-yard gain on the play, but instead it is 2nd and 10.
Old wide receivers do not like to see this. I mean, Billy Johnson works all day to get wide open. Kenny Stabler makes a perfect read of the defense. Now watch. White Shoes is a punt return man first, a receiver second. There goes the problem. He started to run with the football before he caught it. But Stabler's an old veteran. He'll come back from that drop.
Stabler, 9 out of 15, 113 yards. Big running game by Earl Campbell today, but now Stabler's got to stay in the air. He's over the middle. It's complete to Ronnie Coleman coming out of the backfield. He's to the 29-yard line, brought down by Thomas Howard, the linebacker, 52, and he is just shy of a first down as we have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to play of this game. And the Oilers are trailing by 1, and you see a timeout signal from the sideline. As the Oilers, the clock is still running, however.
Still running. He hasn't called the timeout yet, bro.
So the clock rolls. Gifford Nielsen pointing to the clock, and the clock is now being stopped at 2 minutes and 12 seconds left to play. And something went wrong there as Marv Levy, he's all for it. Bum Phillips is pointing to his team on the field, saying, hey, guys, you got to anticipate here. We got to call a timeout. So they get the timeout with 2:12 left to play in the game. Houston will have a 3rd down and 1 when we go back to play here. A tremendous show by Earl Campbell, possibly to be overshadowed by a second-half comeback by these Kansas City Chiefs. Today, it's the Chiefs of Kansas City and the Oilers of Houston. Tuesday night on NBC, it will be the Royals of Kansas City against possibly the Houston Astros or the Philadelphia Phillies, as the World Series is back where it belongs on NBC starting Tuesday night the 14th.
Bum Phillips not very happy about that timeout call. And I'll tell you, Merle, I think I gave you some wrong information. There's only one timeout left now for Kenny Stabler.
Well, Stabler really has to work the sideline now. 2 minutes, 12 seconds remaining. Kansas City 21, Houston 20. The Oilers, after losing to Pittsburgh 31-17 in the opener, came back to beat Cleveland, Baltimore, and Cincinnati, and then were pounded last week by Seattle 26-7. And Bum Phillips says, we got to get our act together. We were all terrible. He said, we played the game terribly on the field. He said, I blame the coaches, I blame the players, I blame everybody. He said, let's put it together.
Timer, please adjust the clock to 2:17.
All right. We did have a timeout while the clock was running. They're adjusting it to 2:17. That's what it has to go back to. Kansas City got in the win column last week against Oakland 31-17 after dropping its first 4 ball games. And of course, this would be a tremendous boost to the Chiefs' confidence if they can hold this lead this afternoon. Over 75,000 here at Arrowhead Stadium, and nobody is leaving, obviously. They're resetting the clock. It will go to 2:18, I believe, was the call. We'll watch it as they count it down. So this is a breather for the Kansas City Chiefs. Marv Levy says they're the youngest team in the NFL. Have had to wait here till the clock was moved back, and they were all fired up and ready to tee up on Stabler and the Oilers with 3rd down at about a yard to go. In fact, less than that. Mike Barber, 86, Rich Castor, 88, are in as tight ends. Earl Campbell is back. He is in there at tailback now for the Houston Oilers. Tim Wilson in front of him as the fullback to lead the blocking 3rd down 1. Campbell first down to the 30, and the clock showing 2 minutes and 10 seconds left to play in this game. Manu Maliuna, 54, Spaney, 59. The inside linebackers, with help from Don Perry, 61, the nose tackle, stop to play. How about this score? San Diego, Oakland, 24 all, 4th quarter. Oakland bouncing back against San Diego this afternoon. We've got a timeout with 2 minutes to go. Houston trailing by 1, and we'll be right back after this. October 18th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, NBC Sports World returns live. It's a 10-round lightweight heavyweight bout between undefeated Michael Spinks and Yaki Lopez. Then some of the greatest names in bowling go pin for pin, and legends of bowling all Saturday on NBC Sports World at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, following the 1980 World Series here on NBC. Houston, 70 yards away, 2 minutes to do it. Mike Hefner.
I've seen Kenny Stabler do it 100 times, but I'll tell you, this Kansas City team is fired up. They are an awful tough defense.
A field goal would do it for the Snake. Here we go. Stabler pumps once over the middle, completes the ball to the 40-yard line to Rich Castor as tight end. There's a play over or not. Fumble, Kansas City ball. Whitney Paul jarred the ball loose on the tackle, and Houston much upset on the call. Rich Castor had the ball at the 40 for apparent first down, but a fumble and a turnover.
It was Whitney Paul last week stealing a ball away from David Casper to help them upset Oakland, and now you see rip that ball out, and that was a good call.
And Gary Spaney fell on it. Kansas City with a 1-point lead. Packer has just come up with a big play for the defense. It was the defense that won last week in Oakland, and it's the defense that's turned this thing around as Ken Stabler was starting to move the Oilers with 2 minutes to play, plenty of time for the Snake. But it was Whitney Paul who changed all that, and Kansas City now has to kill the clock.
Oilers only got one timeout left, Merle.
It is Ted McKnight up the middle down to the 38-yard line. Curly Culp, 78, Mike Stensrud make the tackle, and timeout is called for Houston, and that will wipe out the Oilers as far as timeouts are concerned. 1:46 left to play. Building program, if they can hold the lead, it'll do a Put Houston in the lead 20-14. Now Kansas City the lead. And again, it is McKnight inside the 35 to the 34. Jess Baker, 75, makes the tackle. And we have a little extra curricular activity going on down there. Ted Washington, 59. And let's see who else mixing it up a little bit. For Kansas City, 83, Mike Williams at tight end. And now they'll cool things down a little bit. The clock stopped with a minute 36 seconds left to play.
A little bit of frustration, Merle. Houston knows they should have won this one. Kansas City very, very happy to get second win in a row if they hold on.
The Oilers are behind in this ball game because they had covered all the pass receivers when Steve Fuller was going back to throw and he couldn't find anybody to throw to. They had covered those receivers like a blanket, but Fuller, who can run the football, saw a little daylight, charged right up the middle, 38 yards, touchdown. Personal foul against each team offsetting is the call by Bob McElwee.
That was a gift by Bob McElwee. He's going to tell us now.
We have a double foul after the play. The down counts.
So the down will count. The double foul was after the play was over. It'll be a second down coming up for Kansas City. A minute 36 seconds to go in this game. And the Chiefs are leading the Oilers by 1. If the Chiefs can win this game, it'll be their first win over the Oilers in 5 years.
You know what the complaint is by the Kansas City Chiefs is that penalty call stopped the clock. And that's what they're complaining about. They say that's not fair, that they should be able to stop the clock with offsetting penalties.
Well, they're trying to cool Mike Williams, the second-year man and all WAC selection for New Mexico, trying to calm him down a little bit. Third down. Let's check the yardage. They moved it up, and I said second down. It is third down after that last play that did go. And this is Ted McKnight. First down. He might be on the way. 20, 15, 10. Knocked out of bounds by Mike Reinfeld at the 10-yard line, just inside the 10. McKnight almost took it all the way, but it was Mike Reinfeld who put a shoulder into him to knock him out of bounds after a 25-yard pickup.
Oh, this could seal the game if there's no turnover, Merle. This run by Ted McKnight could settle it all. And I'll tell you, he was just looking for the first down. All of a sudden, he turned upfield and knew he had the linebackers beat. And as you said, if it wasn't for Reinfeld, he walks in the end zone uncontested.
It is first down and goal to go for Kansas City. A minute 28 seconds left to play. Gary Green, a defensive back, quarterback, is now in the game in the backfield for Kansas City, and they're just going to protect the ball. They're not interested in a further score. They're only interested in killing off the clock. And Houston can do nothing about it because the Oilers have no timeouts left. It'll be second down and goal to go.
And we'll get a shot at Gary Green standing 15 yards behind Mike Fuller. And the reason, the fans will remember back to that Philadelphia-New York Giant game where the quarterback turned around, bumped into the fullback. It was fumbled when the game was sealed. And all of a sudden, the Philly linebacker picked it up, went in, and the game went to the Eagles instead of the Giants. And that's the reason for Gary Green standing way in the back, and we'll get a shot of it.
And as Yogi Berra says, it's never over until it's over.
That's it.
The last time the Chiefs beat the Oilers was 1974 by a score of 17-7. Green, look at him. You talk about a tailback. Now that is what you call a deep tailback. So they killed time again on a second down play, and you're watching it tick away. The Oilers can't do much about it. They trail by 1. They had led 20-14 with 8:05 left to play as Kenny Stabler took the Oilers downfield, and I don't believe we'll have another play. But then it was this man right here, Steve Fuller, with nobody to throw to, running 38 yards for a touchdown. The extra point was added, and the Kansas City Chiefs are pulling a second straight upset, beating Oakland last week 31-17, and 75,000 plus here at Arrowhead watch their heroes leave the field with a dramatic 21-20 upset of the Houston Oilers. A severe blow for the Houston Oilers as Marv Levy accepts the congratulations of Bum Phillips. So the Oilers leading by 10-0 at the half. Kansas City putting on a good third quarter, 14-13 at the third quarter, an exchange of touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and a 21-20 win for Kansas City, Mike.
It's a shame. Earl Campbell had a great day, but Kansas City just would not quit. And I'll tell you, defensive linemen hate scrambling quarterbacks, and you saw the reason why. Mr. Fuller was in the end zone with all the receivers covered, and it cost him the game.
And it was Earl Campbell with over 177 yards on the ground today, putting on a tremendous show, but not quite enough as Kansas City wins its second game of the year, beating Houston by a score of 21-20. Oh, what a game, and we hope you've enjoyed it all. I'm Merle Herman.